I have a question. You have a question. But we have questions about NFTs. Are they an art form? Are they an investment platform? Are they an asset? I'm not even sure I've figured it out yet. And, I've been trading for a long time, and cryptocurrencies were all new to me. Digital assets were all new. But NFTs popped up out of nowhere. So what does NFT stand for? Non-fungible token. Wow. Does that tell you much of anything? Well, non-fungible means that it's unique and can't be replaced with something else. For example, a Bitcoin is fungible. Trade one for another Bitcoin, and you'll have the same thing. Does that tell you much of anything either? A one-of-a-kind trading card, however, is non-fungible. Say a Hank Williams baseball card from 50s. It's one left in the world. It's not replaceable. So if you traded it for a different card, you'd have something completely different. At a very high level, most NFTs are part of the Ethereum blockchain. So this is what puts them into the sphere of cryptocurrency and digital assets. Ethereum is a cryptocurrency, like Bitcoin or Dogecoin. But its blockchain also supports these NFTs, which store extra information that make them work differently from, say, an ETH coin. It's worth noting that other blockchains can implement their own version of NFTs, just like other blockchains can have other coins. NFTs can really be anything digital, such as a drawing, music, your brain downloaded and turned into an AI. But a lot of the current excitement is around using the tech to sell digital art. And recently we saw a car sold, and we also saw art purchased, big art auctions. But I even get a little bit confused. So bear with me, because I don't understand. Well, I do. I wrote this webinar, but I don't really understand, or didn't really understand, why somebody would want to give me NFTs for a piece of artwork. Why somebody would want to buy a 30-second clip from some famous actor on video to buy and preserve as their own in the digital field. So in economics, a fungible asset is something with units that can be readily interchanged like money. With money, you can swap a 10-pound note for two 5-pound notes, and it will have the same value. Well, that makes sense. Hey, buddy, give me some change. I got $1. Give me 2.50. Give me 4 quarters. Give me 10 dimes. However, if something is non-fungible, it is impossible. It means it has unique properties, so it cannot be interchanged with something else. So, okay, we understand unique. It could be a house or a painting such as the Mona Lisa, which is one of a kind. You can take a photo of the painting or buy a print, but there will only be one original ever. Now, here's where I get confused. Okay, the Mona Lisa hangs in the Louvre. I don't know exactly who owns it, but let's say it's owned by the Louvre. Okay, they own it, they possess it, they have it, and they insure it. And if somebody steals it, the police will go lock them up and arrest them. But when you buy a piece of artwork with an NFT, it's a digital piece that's kind of stuck out there in the internet. You can't put your hands on it. You can't take it to the police and say somebody took it from me. What happens if the system crashed or the original got destroyed? It's like, okay. NFTs are one-of-a-kind assets in the digital world that can be bought and sold like any other piece of property, but they have no tangible form of their own. So in other words, an NFT, this one particular NFT, this one particular number, 47294654, is unique because it owns that 30-second digital piece of artwork of Frank Sinatra singing in his rehearsal. And that NFT, it's tied to that NFT, and that NFT owns it. So anytime somebody wants to play that video and has to pay a licensing or copyright fee, the funds are paid into that NFT. And that NFT can be owned by somebody who then gets paid royalty, that collects the royalties. But the digital token can be thought of as a certificate of ownership for virtual or physical assets. Well, the thing is, I kind of understand physical assets. I have a difficult time owning virtual assets because that 30-second clip of Frank Sinatra happened in a live world, and that song that was played was copyrighted and owned. Frank Sinatra owned his movie rights. Now, he could have sold his rights as an actor to a studio, but somebody owned the physical thing. So are we still confused? A wee bit. It's generally built using the same kind of program as cryptocurrency, like Bitcoin or Ethereum, but this is where the similarity ends. Okay, well, I understand we have blockchain. We can put things on there that are unique and monitor them and track them, and and they're one of a kind, and they can't be stolen, so to speak. But physical money and cryptocurrencies are fungible, meaning they can be traded or exchanged for one another. They're also equal in value. $1 is always worth $1. One Bitcoin is always equal to another Bitcoin. Now, granted, Bitcoin goes up and down, but if I have one Bitcoin on my wallet and I say to you, can I borrow your Bitcoin? And you say to me, okay, pay me back a Bitcoin when you get home. And I go home and I transfer you back a Bitcoin, because we didn't borrow $33,579. We borrowed a Bitcoin. I gave you one, you gave me one. Crypto's fungibility makes it a trusted means of conducting transactions on the blockchain. Now, NFTs are different. Each has a digital signature that makes it impossible for NFTs to be exchanged for or equal, hence non-fungible. Blockchain technology and NFTs afford artists and content creators a unique opportunity to monetize their wares. Okay, now this is where I really get lost. Okay, now I produce a great deal of YouTube videos. I upload them to YouTube. Now, nobody can buy it or sell it. It's mine. Okay. But if I sold you, I guess I could sell you the rights, because I'd be selling the rights to one of my videos and all the monetization on YouTube, and you would then collect all the money for that. But how, outside of a contract that I have with you, how do I prove I own it? How do you approach Bitcoin and tell them they got to pay you instead of me the funds? So, for example, artists no longer must rely on galleries or auction houses to sell their artwork. Well, we've always had the internet now, or we've had it for a long time. An artist can put up his own auction, put up his own artwork on the internet, and you can buy it. But I don't want to buy a digital copy of a painting, nor do I want to buy a digital mime or digital, sure, I buy digital logos for my business. I buy digital creative work for my website. But you delivered to me a file. I own that file. I paid you a flat fee, but I'm the only one who's going to use it. But the artist can sell it directly to the consumer as an NFT. So it means I am a consumer who's going to buy from you a digital art form that I'm not going to ever take physical delivery on, to pay you with something that doesn't really exist. So how do I actually say that this particular art form went up in value? I want more money for it. I don't know. So the come-ons, which they also say it helps artists keep more of their gains. Well, they pay an auction house a lot of money for auction houses to get them out to the public and to sell, or a gallery who's going to represent them, who invests in them and spends their money and their time. If I wanted to invest in me and spend my money and time and create a website and drive traffic to it so I could sell my wares, okay, sure, I could keep more of my gains, but I'd have additional costs in other ways, because just because I'm selling a piece of artwork with an NFT, how do I get it to somebody who wants to buy? How do I attract somebody who might buy it? So, in addition, artists can program in royalties so that they'll receive a percentage of sales whenever their art is sold to a new owner. Okay, well, I understand this like when it comes to photography or creative stuff, like when I go to iPhoto and I buy a photo. I'm buying that photo, but I'm buying the digital rights to that photo to put on my website, and I'm paying a licensing fee. The artist was paid by iPhoto for it, but what their deal was with the artist, and I'm paying with NFTs. I don't even know who it goes. So whether the artwork is sold to a new owner, they get the money. This is an attractive feature, as artists generally do not receive future proceeds after their art is first sold. Exactly. If I came to you and I said, okay, I wanted that, buy that logo for my company, or I want to buy that piece of creative artwork for and you told me, okay, it's $1,000, and you created this, whatever. Okay. I later sold for more and more people, put it on more of my website. I paid you a fee. You earned your money. I paid. What I do with it afterwards is my business. This isn't a movie that's got royalties attached to it. But this is what they want you to think about with NFTs. Traditional works of art as paintings are valuable because they are one of a kind. Now, yes, that's true, but there's a million great artists out there that have existed, that have come and gone, that haven't been able to sell a piece of artwork that nobody knows about. And there are some incredibly great masters, or there's some artists who had great publicity, who knew how to market themselves. But the value of a piece of art is like air too. It's only what somebody's willing to pay for it. But today, this, yes, we have to move from my generation to new generation, because we're talking about now digital files, and they can be easily and endlessly duplicated on top of that. So with NFTs, artwork can be tokenized to create a digital certificate of ownership that can be bought and sold. Where do I buy and sell this? You created a piece of artwork for me. I paid you a fee, the digital artwork. So as with cryptocurrency, a record of who owns what is stored on a shared ledger known as a blockchain. But this is all supposed to be private and discreet. So what happens is this NFT is tied to that piece of artwork, not tied to me, okay, even though I own that NFT. The records cannot be forged because the ledger is maintained by thousands of computers around the world. But that's the same with all cryptocurrencies. NFTs can also contain smart contracts that may be give the artist, for example, a cut of any future sale of that token. Okay. Well, an artist who doesn't want to use a gallery, who doesn't want to market himself, how is he going to create this NFT? He's going to have to hire programmers and people to do this, and people to monitor, and lawyers. Still confused? So am I. In theory, anybody can tokenize their work to sell as an NFT. But interest has been fueled by recent headlines of multi-million-dollar sales. Any quick get-rich-quick scheme or come-on scheme, you get enough headlines, it runs up for a while and then runs down for a while. Okay. So on February 19th, an animated GIF of Nyan the cat, a 2011 mime of a flying Pop-Tart cat, sold for more than $500,000. Okay. Why? Because it had gotten great, not at that time gotten great, but it got to be known, just like, the photograph or the digital art of Hello Kitty or the Muppets is worth a fortune only because somebody promoted them and they became world recognizable. A few weeks later, musician Grimes sold some of her digital art for more than $6 million, okay, in NFTs. So if somebody said, I'll give you $6 million worth of NFTs, but I can only get, if I took my NFTs, $200 for it, I actually only got $200. It is not just art that can be tokenized and sold. Twitter's founder, Jack Dorsey, has promoted an NFT of the first ever tweet with bids hitting $2.5 million. Now, that first ever tweet is something that has a historic value. It's got a collector's value. It's got a ownership value. It's something that, yes, might be referred to in millions of books for years gone by that people might pay small licensing fees for it. Or if I started a new social media company of some sort, and in my lobby I had the original tweet, and it showed that I own the original tweet, well, that could be interesting. But Christie's sale of an NFT by digital artist Beeple for $69 million, 50 million pounds, set a record for digital art. I don't know who these people are buying and what they're buying. But all of a sudden, we got this bubble. Because all we heard about, we got these tweets, we got these headlines, people became interested. So a friend of mine told me not so long ago that she and her husband were going to do some type of a artist, a festival, and everything is going to be done by NFTs. And I looked at it, that's interesting. So the art's going to be sold for NFTs. The entrance fee to come into the festival is going to be NFTs. I said, how are you going to pay in cash, in dollars, the rental of the grounds, for the portable bathrooms, for the security? They want that in dollars. Okay. You're collecting everything in NFTs. What's that going to do for you? So the drop in non-fungible token sales that began in early May seemed to be continuing on until last month. I mean, NFTs have dropped in value so much. And this is what I don't understand. What are all these NFTs that they're trading on the internet? Okay, if I created an NFT for, that painting for $66 million, and of that, I created 6 million NFTs, each valued at $1, and I sold those off to raise the $6 million. Okay. But that's a particular NFT that's tied back to a specific piece of art. So according to the data from non-fungible.com, the week-long period surrounding the NFT market peak at the beginning of May saw $170 million in transaction volume. But at the end of the month, that figure had collapsed to just $19.4 million in NFT sales, which is a decrease of roughly 90%. According to a new report from CNBC, the drop has continued. On June 15th, the 7-day average NFT volume had fallen to just $8.7 million. Compared to the market's peak in early May, and the new number represented a drop of 95%. So, as we can see on the chart, NFTs have tanked. I think most people can't understand what they are. And even if I were going to invest in a $6 million painting, how do I get my money back? How do I get spendable? An asset is only worth what you can get for it. If I went and bought the Mona Lisa for $100 million, what's it worth? Well, some art house, some auctioneer might say it's worth $120 million. But if it goes to auction and only brings 50, it's only worth $50 million. It's only what it's worth. And what it's worth isn't what somebody tells you what it's worth, what a chart tells you. It's what you can turn it into, or what you can use it, or what you can exchange it for in the real world. Well, this may not be the end for NFTs. It's certainly the end of an era. Riding on the tailwinds of the biggest crypto bull market in history, non-fungible tokens made a serious splash when they entered mainstream in March of 2021. By that point, NFTs had already been around for several years. They're not something new. There's tons of digital assets out there that people have had ideas for. But if you can't get the headlines on social media, they kind of disappear. Now, they had never previously captured the public imagination in such a big way. Investors and speculators saw a new opportunity to try a rather novel financial market. Artists and creators saw a new opportunity to monetize their work in the digital world. Or is it that speculators saw a way to hype a new market, drive the value so they could invest at a low price to sell at a high price while the market was rising? Then when the market collapsed, they're long gone. For some, the opportunity paid off big time. Graphic designer Mike Winkelmann, also known as Beeple, sold the NFT for a record $69 million at Christie's auction in March. Well, like I said, what did he ever get in value? And why would this guy's artwork, piece of art, be worth $69 million? Around the same time, Twitter CEO Jack Dorsey sold the tokenized version of his tweet for $2.9 million. It's the only thing I can understand. Now, if we look at the history of how this all happened, this cycle, it wasn't long before the cracks in the walls of NFTs started to take show. Critics of NFTs have laundry lists of concerns about non-fungible tokens, including fraud and theft. Reports of vanishing non-fungible tokens began to hit headlines as questions about what it really means to own a non-fungible token went unanswered. Okay. Now, I created a digital piece of artwork. Let's not talk about $69 million. I sold it for $69 to somebody for NFTs. Okay. That person attached it to an NFT, and it's, but I just took it back, or I duplicated my thing and sold it, to somebody over here, and I sold some not in NFTs. How do we prove ownership? The material that an NFT is associated with is not stored in a Web3 environment. It is subject to the same kinds of problems that all centralized media are. If an NFT type photo disappears from the web, well, tough luck. The criticism of non-fungible tokens didn't seem to significantly affect the space. When cryptocurrency markets were hit with bearish forces in mid-May, non-fungible token markets were decimated. Well, let's talk about it. If I'm a cryptocurrency enthusiast, and I'm sitting with my dozen, 2 dozen, 5 dozen, 1,000 Bitcoins, and Bitcoin went at that point from 12,000, 15,000, 20,000 up to 65,000. I have made this ton of extra money. I'm sitting there with my cryptocurrency in my wallet, and I say, you know what? That's interesting. I'll take $2,000 out of that huge profit I'm sitting in my cryptocurrency, and I'll invest it in NFT. It's just another digital currency. I'm moving it on my platform to another asset, but I'm not taking anything out of the bank. I'm not taking cash. I took and converted some of my Bitcoin into that particular NFT being traded, sold, or offered. Because I don't understand, if I bought a piece of artwork for an NFT, the value is the NFT. How am I trading it? How's it going up and down in value? Because a piece of art doesn't move around that much. So analysts who operate outside the cryptocurrency space have written the whole saga of as another crypto fad novel. Exciting and perhaps interesting, but essentially vapid and hyper-driven. While the most known use case of non-fungible token technology surrounds the concepts related to digital authenticity and ownership on the internet as we know it, some innovators are exploring an entirely new environment for NFTs, virtual reality. Now, Forbes recently reported that Space Force partnered with digital artists company Worldwide XR and View to release their own NFTs with augmented reality features. Okay. Now, Space Force took a photograph, a digital photograph of the first rocket and the first inside the first rocket or the first space. It was only that photograph. It wasn't replicated, and sold it as an NFT. And the only person who had that digital file was attached to the NFT. Maybe, but why wouldn't there be 10 photographs with that 10 or the photographer took 65 pictures simultaneously, one after another in the same place? Yeah, they're all slightly different, but no human being, outside of a computer looking at, could tell the difference. Well, still confused? NFTs could provide a path towards real world monetization in virtual economies. Non-fungible tokens have already made a splash in the gaming world as technology that could make decentralized ownership of in-game assets into a reality. Now, maybe in some internet world, and you created you did all the programming, created a specific weapon that can be used in this gaming apparatus, and you got the gaming company to upload and offer that sword of whatever, the sword of NFT. And every gamer who bought that sword for $3 and paid the game company, you got a percentage of that, which was a royalty, which automatically every time somebody bought it went into your, because your token, your NFT showed ownership. Maybe very small formats and very small words, so it could have some type of value. But how does that affect something you could trade or invest in? Now, maybe if somebody could convince me that the game company would sell 1 million of these swords, and for this 1 million swords that sold at $3 each, $3 million, I was getting a 10% royalty. So therefore, my sword or my digital art was worth $300,000, $30,000. Maybe I might invest and own 10% of that, so I get 10% of the royalties. Think about it. While NFTs may not be the all-end be-all of virtual reality and other creative economies, they could be part of an important shift that allows creators to have access to new kinds of economic tools. Beyond virtual reality, non-fungible tokens are also finding new use cases in the music world and beyond. Well, think about them. If you want to learn more about any cryptocurrency, you want to learn about trading of the financial markets, go to www.fxtb. They'll be glad to help you out. They have an incredible education section. And you can try a demo account and see what it's like trading with one of the most renowned brokers in the industry. Thank you very much for joining us, and have a great trading week. Bye now.